Thank you. I'm sorry for all this inconvenience, but it's not my fault. It's like the technology sometimes is before us. So even though this whole presentation is going to be in English, I'm going to tell you the stories from my experience, so from, let's say, the Polish reality and how it all works. I wanted to concentrate on the examples from the real life, because for several years I've been working with the companies, because my law firm is located in Krakow, and I've been working with the companies from so-called Dragon Valley in Krakow. This is how the title of this place of Zabłocie was given, because of so many startups are being now located there. And I have several things that I would like to tell you about, which are connected with my experience. I would like to show you what steps you should avoid and why you should sometimes look for some advice from the outside just to avoid them. In general, this title of my presentation it stems from the experience and from many discussions that I have with startups, with funds, on my let's say professional during my professional life. And I think the biggest problem now with startups is that we should know where is the end of the startup and when the business starts. So in general, I would like to pay your attention to the fact that we should forget to talk about startups and try to concentrate on doing business that gives you money. And this is I think the most important thing in this whole discussion about startups. You can see here this famous sentence that is written on one of my clients who are this is the Deutsche Telekom fund that is located in Kraków, Hubraum. And on the doors you can see the sign, if you have a brain, you are a startup. But later on, after having this great innovative idea in your head, you should try to turn this idea into business. And on some practical examples, I would like to show you how it works. So generally, when you are dealing with business, at the very early stage, you are trying to think, where can I get the money from to develop my startup? And I would like to show you few possibilities that you have on your way that are open in Poland for the companies to grow. And of course, the first idea is to search for the investor, but you should always try to adjust this investor, the type of investor that you would like to use with the stage of development of your company. So when you are a startup, you may think about, for example, some seed funds. When you are a better developed company, you may think about, for example, private equity funds or venture capital. But there are also different kinds of ways to find the finances, or find the sources for your development. The most important thing is that when you come to the market, you should know what is the goal. So what is the aim? Why are you looking this money for? Because I think the most important problem is that when you go to the investor and you say that, okay, I want to develop my company organically. I want to have more funds on your marketing. It's not going to work. In general, what works is that you will have a plan. You need to know where you want to be in next 5 years. And this is the most important problem, and I think I would like to show you on some examples how it works in real life, in real Polish life. So in 2011, I had a very interesting meeting with a young guy who came to my firm. And he was wearing shorts, he was 23 years old, and he was the owner of a very small translation office in Krakow. And he told me, he sat down in front of me and he said, you know, I have a plan in my head that in 5 years I'm going to be one of the biggest translation companies in Poland, and I'm going to be listed on new markets, on New Connect, so the Warsaw Stock Exchange, let's say smaller market. And when I started to talk to him, my first impression was, okay, it's good to have dreams, but let's try to make these dreams come true. But later on, I was with him for 4 years, watching how he was growing his company. And few weeks ago, I was the advisor, the authorized advisor, and I helped him to enter New Connect. So he's now a listed company in Warsaw, and he succeeded. So he succeeded. It took him 4 years to grow from a very small entity to now he's the 6th biggest company in Poland. And I think his history is very good to show how you should talk to the investors, because the most important thing on this line, you can see that he knew from the very beginning how he can grow his company. So when he was trying, for example, because he's now the leader of acquisition, so he's taking over the companies because he wants to grow the scope of his clients. He knows that it's much easier to buy the entities that already have the group of clients, and later on to move with that experience. And as you can see here on this slide, when he was using the external financing, he know when he started to talk to the investors, he know what he's looking for. He was looking for the money for definite or for acquisitions, and it was much easier to him to get this money from the investors. What is also worth stressing is that there are having the founder from the outside is okay one way, but for example there is a very convenient instrument. These are bonds. The bonds are securities that are very similar to loan, but on the other hand still they are more credible because these are securities, and many of the business angels, many of individual investors, they are now interested in investing in this way. So you don't need to put someone inside your company and he's not going to decide what is the direction of your development, but think about bonds. This is what Zortrax did, and they received from the market 8 million by issuing bonds. So this is another convenient way to get the money. So first important thing is that you should know what you need money for. Another very good example of the history of growth and success of the Polish companies, it's a biochemical company called Celvita. And Celvita is also a company located in Krakow. And let's say their development started in 2011 when they entered New Connect. This was the first moment when they were looking for the investors. This is a typical company which is based on R&D, so research and development. And the main difference between Polish or European companies based on research and development and the American ones is that the investors from America, they got used to the fact that the profits will come but in a longer time. The investors here, they are looking for a short time profits. And because of that, you cannot base your, for example, this is what CD Projekt did, so the company that created Wiedźmin, I think most of you know this game. You should have, let's say, the second leg that you can stand on. This is what Celvita did, this is what CD Projekt did. CD Projekt was also the distributor of the games. Celvita, they started to render services which were based on biochemical, which was based on what they were specializing in, but still they have revenue. So they were more credible to the investors, and they wanted to invest in such a company. Cellvita is a beautiful example of the Polish company that in 5 years they grow constantly. When we transferred them from New Connect to the main market of the Warsaw Stock Exchange, their growth is 70% growth. So today, the capitalizations of the valuation of the company is more than 200 million zlotys. So it's really impressive how they achieved that. What I would like to pay your attention to is that in the process of investments, or in the investment process, there are some key points that all the companies should remember of. First moment that is very important is are these initial negotiations. So this is the moment when you go to the investor and you start to talk about your idea. And this is this moment when you should take care of the information that you are selling to the investor. Because of course, when I talk to various startups, I hear that, okay, in Germany, when you go to the investor, you talk about your idea, he won't use this information. Unfortunately, the histories of the Polish startups sometimes are different, because sometimes especially the financial investors who have in their portfolio lots of different companies, they can use this information, let's say, against you, so they have money to start to develop your product very rapidly. And you are looking for money, so you cannot develop it. So it's in your best interest to sign NDA, or, for example, just to have a proof that you are the first with this idea. You can use various instruments to protect the data that you are selling to the investors. Of course, you should have a witness. You should go with your information, at least a bit of this information of this product in public, so you can put something on the website, or you can go to the notary and secure there, for example, deposit there your code that you are creating, or just write down some of the information, and then when the notary gives you a specific date that you are the first, it would be easier to protect this idea that you have, because under Polish law, the idea itself is not protected. Second important thing is the moment when investor wants to conduct due diligence in your company. So this is the moment when you should take care of the way this due diligence is made, because generally the investors, they prefer not to have the investment agreement signed before you enter into the process. For them, it's better to go inside your company, take as much information as they need, and then decide whether they want to invest in your company or not. So it's in your best interest to write down the way this due diligence is made. So the scope of the process, you should, for example, remember that the due diligence process may be done in a different way. So, for example, in the VDR, so it's not the best idea that the investor goes inside your company, walks around, and makes you not work, but giving him another documents and another. This is your chance to organize it in a way it would work. And generally remember that this due diligence sometimes is a key moment in the whole investment process, because it may happen, we had several situations like this, that we are conducting due diligence for our clients, for funds, And at the end, it turned out that the company had only one asset. This is what they were claiming, that we have one asset, which is, for example, the IPR rights for a product. And after our research, it turned out that because of some mistakes that were made, for example, in Poland, we have a very strict law connected with copyrights. To transfer the copyrights, you need to have a written form, you have to have the fields of use written down. If not, you are not buying the copyrights to transfer it somewhere else, or you are not the owner of the copyrights. Which means that, for example, it's very important, and this is your job to take care of the agreements that you have with your people from IT, with the designers, with graphics, because you are the one who needs to protect yourself, not the companies, not the IT companies that knows that to transfer these copyrights in an efficient way, you need to fulfill some requirements. And after this due diligence was done, it turned out that the company that claimed that have a very good software, very good solutions, in our opinion, they didn't have anything, and it caused that the investor just withdraw from the whole process. So this due diligence is very important, and it's very good to have, I would say, pre-due diligence done. So it's better to go to the lawyer and ask him for some advice. If I really have everything there in common, everything is done okay in my company, and I can really go outside and try to sell it if this is really okay. So generally, this IPR rights, this is one of the most important problems in this investment process. Very often, unfortunately, it turns out that the companies are not using the lawyers, not using the advisors to have it done properly, and then, of course, it makes a lot of problems in the investment process later on. What else is good to remember when you are entering the process, when you are entering the whole investment agreement? For example, generally, let's assume that we have a company that generates some profits, and the investors come to you in the middle of the year, and he wants to invest some money. Of course, when we talk about the dividend, and we are talking about the close of the year, you should remember that the moment when the dividend can be paid, this is after June, so half of the year. And if you forget about, for example, writing in this investment agreement who is entitled to receive the dividend, and you, for example, allow the investor to come inside your company, then he would be entitled to receive this money. This is, of course, unfair, because this is the dividend that stems from the last year. The investor was not there. But without having special provisions in your investment agreement, he will be entitled to receive it. So you need to forget about this. And second important thing is that you shouldn't, when you are selling your company, or you want to stay there inside, you know that your product is good, you want to develop it, but you are at this stage that you need some money to take from the outside to make it go better, to make it grow. It's good to remember that you can divide or you can use different ways how to create the price for your, or remuneration for your enterprise, for what you have. Upfront payment is great, and it would be great when someone gives you the money at one moment, but sometimes you should be flexible. So you should think of this in this way. Okay, I will take some upfront payment, but I want to stay in this company. I want to develop the product. So maybe it would be even, maybe I can earn more when I will have the fixed price, and I will have the second part, which we call the earn-out clause or performance bonus. If you are sure that your company is good, then I think you should use it. There is a very good example of a company, Krakow company, Salesmanago. This is the product automation, marketing automation product. And last year, I helped this company to be sold to Rafał Brzoska, one of the most important and one of the biggest Polish businessmen. And this whole process was built in this way that Rafał invested in 20% of the company, and later on, the boys, they stayed there. They wanted to develop the product, and the whole process was created in this way that every single year there were some KPIs. So this performance of these parameters, which was agreed to the parties, that if they will be achieved, the creators of the company, so the owners of the company, they will receive more money. And this whole process was built like this. Every year, they checked if the KPIs were achieved. If so, Rafał invests more money, and the boys also receives more money. So this was a very good way how they use this synergy effect, and they started to be the part of the bigger group. And another important thing out of this transaction was that they decided to develop to the different countries, but at the moment when they have a fixed product, the product that could be commercialized, that could be sold. And with this product, they started to open the branches in New York, in England. But this was at the moment when Rafał invested, what they were sure that they want to deal with, and they can sell this product. So for distribution, it was good to open the branches abroad, but not before. So now today we hear that this is a very good way to, for example, to start your business in England. But remember that when you're starting your business in England, you need to use the advisors from there, which are 4 times more expensive than to use the advisors from Poland. So I think sometimes it's really good to wait, to have a strategy of growth and success, but in this manner to do this in the reasonable way. I think this is...
Okay, Agata, I'm really sorry we have to cut you off there, but many thanks. Agata Kowalska, everybody.